Well, this is your opportunity this weekend. Spectacular sight, but also signs of the end of summer. I'm meteorologist Kelly Sonnenburg. Thanks for tuning into the Weather Network this long weekend. A look at the CNE forecast if you are heading down. The Canadian National Exhibition going on in Toronto Sunday. We've got variable skies, slight chance for some thunderstorms Monday as well. And then, well, Tuesday, kids are going to be heading back to school. But as we take a look at southern Ontario, we do have the risk for some thunderstorms, non-severe in nature, a boundary that's going to be sliding south as we head through basically Sunday afternoon and evening. So you can see on this future radar a few spotty showers, a few embedded thunderstorms possible, and it will become a little bit more numerous as we head through the afternoon and evening. Very slight chance that lingers into Monday as well. We do have the risk for thunderstorms across northwestern Ontario. This is a separate boundary that's going to be moving across the area, and we'll continue with that thunderstorm theme across western Canada, where BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan are going to be under the risk for seeing thunderstorms. At this point, we're keeping everything non-severe, but if we do think that dynamics do look to be a little bit more favorable for stronger storm development, we will be upgrading that possibly into Alberta, maybe Saskatchewan as well. We'll also keep you updated on that. When we take a look at our future radar, we've got a boundary that's going to be moving in from BC into Alberta, so riding over that Rockies, and we'll start to see those scattered showers move into central and southern Alberta, and then eventually into Saskatchewan as well. That instability will continue further east. Now, a big international story is, of course, extremely large and ferocious Hurricane Dorian, which is currently churning over the Atlantic right now. A very well-defined eye on Dorian, as well as you can see on our infrared satellite imagery here. Where it's headed, well, it is going to be moving over the Bahamas. So as we head through Sunday and Monday, it's actually looking to stall out over the Bahamas as we head through those days. So that could be 24 to 36 hours of this system hanging out over the same region. So this is extremely dangerous. Category 4 hurricane, wind speeds of 240 kilometers an hour. Latest updates from the National Weather Service are that we do have tropical storm watches issued for parts of the east coast of Florida, and I'm sure that will be expanded. As we take a look at the track, you've probably seen that there have been some adjustments to the latest National Hurricane Center track. It does look like it is going to be recurving just slightly. So why is that? Well, when we take a look at the influences in the mid to upper levels of our atmosphere, there's a lot of players going on here. We've got a Bermuda high over the Atlantic. That backs off a few troughs that are going to swing in, and that look to possibly draw Dorian further north. We could be watching it track up the U.S. eastern seaboard as well, so we'll continue to keep you updated on that. Right now, we've got your local forecast across the country for this Labor Day long weekend. You're watching the Weather Network on this long weekend. I'm meteorologist Kelly Sonnenburg, and Sunday marks the first day of meteorological fall. Technically, astronomical summer, it still hangs on into September, but with conditions like this across Western Canada for Sunday, we're starting to see some signs of fall in here. Edmonton, 17 degrees. We've got some showers, thunderstorm activity widespread across BC, Alberta, and even into southern Saskatchewan as we head through Sunday afternoon and evening. So yes, these thunderstorms, they can continue into the fall season, but then we're going to start to be talking about snow. So I'm not ready for this. I'm not sure if you are, but avid skiers and snowboarders, they're just waiting for that fresh powder. As we take a look at the thunderstorm forecast, thunderstorms for BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, like I was saying, non-severe at this point. We'll let you know if we do need to upgrade the risk to possibly severe storms as we head through Sunday afternoon and evening. This is a look at our future radar. Upper level low or trough, that's what's going to be our trigger mechanism for sparking these thunderstorms fairly widespread as we head through the afternoon and evening, and then that risk will likely continue into Monday as well. Now, as we take a look at the first week of September, conditions are actually going to reverse. It's going to actually start feeling a little bit more summer-like. We've got a ridge that's going to be building in, so temperatures are going to be climbing into the mid to upper 20s. So if you're not ready for the snow, then next week is going to be a perfect week for you. Across Atlantic Canada, we've got high pressure as we head into Sunday morning and afternoon, but there is going to be some active weather to finish off the long weekend. We've got a low pressure system approaching from the west, so Monday afternoon for the holiday Monday, we are going to be looking at some rain showers moving across the Maritimes, and then that'll eventually move into Newfoundland as well. Southern Ontario, we've got the slight chance for some thunderstorms. I think these will likely just be embedded within a few isolated showers, possibly scattered showers as we head through the afternoon and evening. This is what our future radar is showing us here. Now, for the GTA in Eastern Ontario, this isn't a whole lot. For areas down towards the southwest, like Chatham-Kent, that has been impacted by severe flooding. All right, well, as we take a look at conditions across the country for the holiday Monday, we're not looking at much in the way of precipitation across southern Ontario. And then quick look at Tuesday, back to school for the kids. We've got your local forecast. More details right now. It's the unofficial final weekend of summer. I'm meteorologist Kelly Sonnenburg. So you'll want to listen to this because Sunday and Monday we've got 2 days left before the kids get back to school, so you'll want to know when you can get outside. And we are going to be looking at some showers and thunderstorms across southern Ontario, western Canada as well, but that will be drying out. Of course, we continue to keep you updated on Dorian, and another big international story is the fires burning in the Amazon. The ISS giving us an out-of-this-world look at the monster storm Hurricane Dorian, which continues to churn in the Atlantic Ocean. Now, size-wise, not very large, but the reason we're calling it a monster storm is because of the power it holds, the strength. As we take a look at the satellite imagery closer to home, you can see that this eye, well defined, that is just an indication of just how strong this storm is. Category 4 hurricane right now, wind speeds of 240 kilometers an hour. This is a high-end Category 4. There are signs that there could be a little bit more strengthening. So a Category 5, not completely off the table. When we take a look at the track of Dorian, you've probably noticed that the National Hurricane Center official track, the cone of uncertainty, has now curved it out to sea. It could be scraping right along the Florida coast up towards the Carolinas, and we still cannot rule out a Florida landfall, but it does look like the upper level atmospheric interactions and players may actually keep it just scraping along the coast of Florida. So we'll continue to keep you updated on that big international story. Right here at home Sunday, this is actually the first official day of meteorological fall. Whether you like it or not, conditions are looking a little bit more fall-like across Western Canada. I mean, really, we have kind of a lack of heat. Temperatures are pretty close to seasonal, or maybe even a touch below. When we take a look at the thunderstorm risk across Northern Ontario, things should likely stay non-severe in nature. We're also going to be looking at the very slightest chance for thunderstorms in Southern Ontario as we head through the afternoon and evening. A very weak boundary moving through the area, isolated showers in the morning, early afternoon hours, and then these showers and maybe a few embedded thunderstorms will become likely a little bit more numerous as we head through the day and maybe even hold on into that holiday Monday. Now, temperatures, this is certainly a sign of fall. Temperatures are a little bit coolish through the overnight and early Sunday morning. Frost advisories in place for western and northwestern parts of New Brunswick. A look at Sunday morning temperatures, and you can see Edmundston 7 degrees, I would say, in some of those low-lying areas. That's where we're going to get close to that freezing mark. So that's something we'll have to keep a close eye out for. Let's take a look outside right now in Calgary as we head through Sunday and Monday. This is the look at our risk map. BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, heavy rainfall, likely non-severe thunderstorms, but if we do think ingredients and parameters look to be a little bit more favorable for stronger storm development, we'll update you on that. I'll look at our future radar, and you can see those scattered showers and thunderstorms moving across BC, Alberta, and then eventually into southern Saskatchewan. And then as we head into the start of September and the holiday Monday, you can see heat. That's going to be a story. That's going to be rebuilding across the west. You can see more details on those temperatures right now in your locals. Your weekend weather watch story continues right now. I'm meteorologist Kelly Sonnenburg, and signs of fall are upon us across Western Canada. Sunday, it's the Labor Day long weekend, and Sunday marks September 1st, and that's the first official day of meteorological fall. We've got the risk for some showers and thunderstorms, BC, Alberta into southern Saskatchewan. Temperatures just barely getting up to 20 degrees in Calgary, 17 in Edmonton. So yes, seasons are slowly starting to transition. When you step outside early in the morning, you certainly need that jacket or sweater, and then you can shed those layers through the afternoon, but it is certainly starting to feel a little bit more crisp outside. A risk for thunderstorms, non-severe in nature at this point for Sunday afternoon and evening. When we take a look at our future radar, you can see these showers, thunderstorms are going to be ongoing across central Alberta, BC as well, through the Okanagan, through the interior. We did have some severe thunderstorm watches and warnings in place on Saturday afternoon and evening. And then that rain is going to move into Saskatchewan as we head into Monday. When we take a look at our upper air pattern, though, you can see we are actually going to transition into a more summer-like pattern. So if you're not ready for fall just yet, Western Canada, temperatures are going to be climbing into the mid to upper 20s. All right, I want to take you outside right now and show you Friday kind of fizzled away over in the Atlantic, but it certainly did bring quite a bit of rain into the Maritimes, New Brunswick, PEI, Nova Scotia. That was just outside of Halifax, so that area picked up about 50 millimeters of rain. And we've got high pressure. That was really our story to start off the long weekend. But to end the long weekend, we are going to be getting into a little bit more of an unsettled pattern. High pressure moves off towards the Atlantic. We are going to be looking at a boundary that moves in for Monday afternoon and evening. So I think most of the day should be rain-free, but we are going to be looking at some scattered showers moving in later on throughout the day. Let's take you into southern Ontario right now, where we saw a spectacular start to the long weekend. Saturday, a mix of sun and cloud. Into Sunday, though, we are going to be seeing some unsettled weather return. I would say Saturday was probably the best day of the long weekend. Monday is going to be pretty great as well, but Sunday in between, this is where we have to deal with a little bit of active weather. When we walk you through our future radar, you can see into Sunday morning and afternoon, a few isolated showers become a little bit more numerous across the GTA, the North Shore of Erie, Ontario as well. Chatham-Kent, still a state of emergency in place for residents and homes right along the lakeshore. We've been battling some flooding, unfortunately, so that's still in place. So we don't want to see stronger winds. We don't want to see any more rainfall in the area as well. So let's take a look at conditions nationally across the country for your holiday Monday. Toronto, 26 degrees. We've got Halifax, 22 degrees, and then those temperatures are going to be on the way up for Western Canada. I'd love to see how you're celebrating the final weekend of summer, and coming up after your local forecast, we'll have more details on Hurricane Dorian in the Atlantic. Your weekend Weather Watch story continues right now here on the Weather Network. I'm meteorologist Kelly Sonnenburg. We're going to take a look at the forecast across the country nationally for this Labor Day long weekend. But first, international news. Hurricane Dorian, which continues to churn in the Atlantic. This is a massive, powerful storm that is just barreling towards the Bahamas right now. Florida as well. We've got our storm chase team down in Florida right now. We're going to bring in Jacqueline Whittall and Mark Robinson. Guys, you're down in Cocoa Beach, Florida right now. And of course, you've been following all the latest updates from the National Hurricane Center and what all meteorologists are talking about with this storm. Latest update is that it does look like this storm is now kind of recurving away from Florida. But why should residents and people still not take this storm lightly?
Well, here's the thing. The hurricanes are not a point, and when you look at the National Hurricane track, you'll see this sort of a point. It can still come in quite close to the Florida coast, and there's going to be effects even if the center of it doesn't track on land. That's a great point, because we were here in 2016 during Hurricane Matthew, literally about 10 minutes away from this location, and it never came on shore, Kelly, but we had a lot of impact, literally like millions of people without power. There were fatalities in that storm, so you still have to worry about those impacts just making it right on the coast.
And you know, you guys, we've been talking about not only the impacts to the U.S. mainland, but the Bahamas. Over the next 24 to 36 hours, this could be possibly a catastrophic storm. So what can the Bahamas expect as this storm moves in?
Well, here's the thing. It really depends on when the storm makes its turn. If the storm goes past the Bahamas, the damage will be merely catastrophic. If it makes the turn, though, the damage could be apocalyptic. And really, this has been what's meteorologically astounding about this storm and this forecast is, when is the storm going to take that north turn? Kelly, you and I were looking at these models, days ago, and it looked like a Sunday landfall, potentially right into Florida. Now that's stalled well earlier than that. So, of course, now the Bahamas is the focus. But we still can't rule out that Florida impact, not to mention the Carolinas.
That's exactly right, guys. So we'll check in with you later on throughout the show. Thank you so much for your update. We're going to get our our viewers updated on the forecast across Canada right now. We're going to take a look right now across the country for Sunday afternoon. Vancouver, 22 degrees. We've got some rain in the forecast for Alberta, Saskatchewan, even into southern Ontario as well, Atlantic Canada. We've got a mix of sun and cloud in the forecast. When we take a look at where the regions could be at risk for possibly some thunderstorms, in northern Ontario, non-severe thunderstorm risk into southern Ontario as we head through the afternoon and evening. We are going to be looking at some passing showers, a few isolated to possibly scattered thunderstorms as well as we head through the afternoon and evening, and this system will move into Atlantic Canada into Monday. More details right now in your local forecast across the country.
Supreme Basics, the office
Hurricane Dorian
expert.
continues to be a top story international news. A Category 4 hurricane that continues to churn in the Atlantic Ocean. We are seeing latest updates from the National Hurricane Center, and this could be possibly a catastrophic storm for the Bahamas over the next 24 to 36 hours. But there have been some changes to the track towards Florida. I'm going to bring in our meteorologist Jacqueline Whittle. She's live with us here in Cocoa Beach, Florida. Now, Jacqueline, this storm, latest update from the National Hurricane Center, the cone of uncertainty, has it kind of recurving away from Florida? Now, this brings back some memories, I think, probably for you and maybe some viewers that really follow tropical storms and hurricanes. Hurricane Matthew in 2006, you were down chasing with Mark Robinson as well, and it took a very similar track to Dorian.
That's right. Good evening, Kelly. We saw almost like a rerun of what's going on with Hurricane Matthew. That was a storm that, had the potential to make a solid landfall, and then the eye of the storm just stayed, just off the coast. And it could have been as little as like 10, 20, 30 miles off the coast. That's pretty close to the shoreline. But those strongest winds, as you know, Kelly, in the eye wall, in the center of the circulation of the hurricanes, never made it on land, so it didn't make an official landfall. However, Daytona Beach with that storm, major flooding. We saw storm surge on the eastern seaboard of Florida. We saw Cat 1 winds where we were, which did lots of damage, power outages, those sorts of things. So we have to remember that even though it doesn't make a landfall, Kelly, we could see big time effects here in Florida still.
That's exactly right, Jacqueline. Now, when we talk about this storm, we were talking off air before, it's important for the viewers and the residents that are possibly in the line of this major storm to not focus in on the category of the storm, because we know with Florence, you were saying, came in last year into the Carolinas as a Category 1, but it produced massive amounts of inland and coastal flooding, and that's because it really just stalled out. So this storm, even though it may not make landfall on Florida, and we can't guarantee that just yet, the cone of uncertainty does still move towards Florida, we're still going to have to watch out for those winds. And even if they're tropical storm force winds, what type of wind gusts or sustained winds could we expect with that?
Well, you could still see, Kelly, 63 kilometers to 118 kilometer winds with tropical storm strength. So when you get sustained winds like that for any duration of time, you end up with a Florence, which, as you mentioned, was only a Cat 1 when it made landfall in Wilmington, North Carolina last fall. It caused millions in damage, plus it dropped 35 inches of rain, like you say. So every storm has its thing, right, that you remember, that you take away. Not sure what that's going to be yet with Dorian, but we'll be here to experience it. Kelly?
All right, thanks so much for that update, Jacqueline. We'll continue to get updates from you throughout the show. Let's take a look across the country here in Canada for Sunday. This is, again, the first official day of meteorological fall. Temperatures feeling a little bit more crisp. We've got your local forecasts right now.
Supreme Basics,
It's the
the
long
office
weekend. You're watching
expert.
the Weather Network. I'm meteorologist Kelly Sonnenburg. Sunday marks the first official day of meteorological fall. We are in the heart of hurricane season in the Atlantic. We continue to monitor this monster, powerful hurricane. This is Dorian, currently churning in the Atlantic, could be possibly bringing in catastrophic damage and rainfall, storm surge to the Bahamas over the next 24 to 48 hours. It also could be impacting Florida and the U.S. mainland. I want to bring in our storm hunter, Mark Robinson, who's down in Cocoa Beach, Florida. Mark, you've tracked and followed and chased a lot of these hurricanes in the past. We've been following the track. The National Hurricane Center released an interesting track earlier this morning showing the possibility of it recurving away from Florida, but I know you've been closely monitoring all of the forecast models, and you still think there is the potential for this storm to track a little bit further west. after. The locals, of course, have been following closely the latest track and the latest updates. And now with the National Hurricane Center saying, you know, it possibly could not make landfall in Florida. We're not ruling this out. We're not ruling anything out just yet. Are the locals, you know, kind of thinking, oh, you know, now I don't have to worry about evacuating, or are they still taking the storm very seriously?
We're just going to have everything ready to go if we need to.
That's exactly right, Mark. All right, thanks for that update. We'll continue to get updated from you and Jacqueline Whittle as well down in Florida this weekend. Let's take a quick look at our weather conditions across the country for Sunday. This is, again, the Labor Day long weekend. Monday is going to be the holiday. Tuesday, the kids are back to school and temperatures are feeling a little bit more fall-like across the west. We've got your local forecasts across the country now. Okay, you'll want to log on to theweathernetwork.com this long weekend and check out this top story that's trending. The article, the video of a diver off the coast of South Africa that was narrowly missed being swallowed whole by a very large whale. Now, although this diver was almost a snack to the whale, humans are not their normal diet. You can check out more articles like this online at theweathernetwork.com. Great to have you along with us here at the Weather Network. Let's get you up to speed on our top weather stories for this Labor Day long weekend across the country and also international weather news. But first, let's talk about southern Ontario. Sunday afternoon, the risk for showers and thunderstorms becomes a little bit more numerous as we head throughout the day. BC, Alberta, southern Saskatchewan, 3 areas that need to be on the lookout for showers and thunderstorms Sunday as well. Most of them look to stay non-severe in nature. That unsettled pattern and cooler pattern, that's going to be coming to an end as we head into the start of September. And temperatures are actually going to be feeling a little bit more summer-like for BC, Alberta, maybe even into the central and eastern prairies as well. Across Atlantic Canada, though, we are going to be looking at some cooler temperatures. This is seasonably cool. I don't want to call it cold and I don't really want to call it cool, but we have been seeing some frost advisories get issued by Environment Canada. And of course, we cannot take our eyes off of Hurricane Dorian, a Category 4 storm, could be possibly bringing in catastrophic damage to the Bahamas. It's going to be churning over the Bahamas for possibly 24 to 36 hours. So we'll continue to keep you updated on Hurricane Dorian and its impacts on possibly Florida and the Carolinas. A quick look across the country for Sunday. This is actually the first official day of meteorological fall. And with the feeling of fall in the air, Leanna McLean has 3 pests we need to be on the lookout for.